We're live on Facebook. Good morning, everybody. All right, so we're not live on the radio yet, but we are live on Facebook. These backgrounds crack me up, like up there.
Yeah, the virtual. And now our arm's gone.
Invisible person.
Yeah.
I was doing it more today than other days.
Oh, it must be because your sleeves are like the same color as the, yes.
See, Facebook world, this is what we talk about before radio shows. How to make ourselves trippier.
Riveting.
Oh, well, it's good times. All the different things we've learned. Look at all the stuff we've learned how to do in the last couple months.
Virtual backgrounds.
All kinds of stuff.
Yep.
Fascinating. Know so many things I didn't know 3 months ago.
And Zoom is just having a field day with that.
It's a big deal for sure. I know. It's raining outside. It made me laugh, like the 4th of July. It rains the week before the 4th. Always beautiful last week. It's raining this week. What's up with that Facebook world? Bring back the sun. Be nice to have a sunny 4th of July, even if there's no fireworks and no parades.
Yeah.
Hopefully Friday will part up a little bit.
I think it's supposed to. Yeah.
Yep.
We might go hiking, find some fun stuff to do, and
There you go.
get out in nature for a little bit.
Positive thoughts. Positive thoughts.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yes, for sure.
All right. Here we go.
Mere real estate.
And this is my time.
It's our intro music. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 425 show. I'm your host, Nicole Mangina with Windermere Real Estate. This is your spot for everything real estate and lifestyle related here on the East Side, really in the whole Seattle area, because each week we love to share the love with small businesses and highlight some of the people and the things that make this a really amazing place to live. Because when you buy and sell a house, it is about so much more than bedrooms and baths. It's about schools, businesses, events, all of those things. They form the community and the backdrop for your life. I was talking about that with some clients over the weekend, and they're getting ready to sell their house. And it's all about, what makes one house worth more than another? Or, what is it that draws buyers in? And we had a long talk about, specifically for their house, lots, it's, things like lot size and privacy and schools and commutes and access, and all of the infrastructure that's been built up around their house since they purchased it. All of those things go into marketing and also pricing a house when you go to sell it. So it's really important that you have an agent that knows your area if you're thinking about selling, because they need to be able to articulate more than just what kind of counters do you have, or when did you last do your furnace or replace your water heater. So if you've got real estate on the brain and you're looking to buy or sell, I invite you to reach out. I am always happy to have a conversation and help in any way that I can. You can find me via email, nicole@nicolemangina.com. There you go. And now I'm excited to introduce our guest today. We have Liz Wysonick with Equilibriyum joining us today. You are a registered dietitian, and you work with people to kind of revamp their lives in a really unique and great way. I love your thought process and your theory on everything. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Nicole. I'm so happy to be here.
Yay! See, thank goodness for Zoom.
That's true. It was kind of nice not to have a commute today.
I know, right? I think we're all getting a little spoiled by that. So tell us a little bit about, I love your name, Equilibriyum, not Equilibrium, Equilibriyum. And though your health approach, there's lots of different thought processes and approaches to how we treat our health and our eating and our diet. And I think you've got a really great one. So I'd love to hear more about what you've got going on.
Thank you so much. Yes, so the name Equilibriyum was actually born from reading a textbook and reading about homeostasis, or the body's ability to maintain equilibrium. And it's so amazing, everything that the body does every single day to just keep us at a steady state. And I was rolling around that word in my head, and equilibrium, equilibrium, equilibrium with a Y. So it was actually born prior to me going to grad school for nutrition and just thinking about if I wanted to get in the health space, for which I've been passionate about for a very long time. That was the name I was going to hang my license with.
Yeah.
So Equilibriyum was finally born a little over a year ago, actually a year and a half. So it's a baby business, private practice. I see clients one-on-one, either in person, now of course remotely on telehealth. And I also offer in-home visits where I would go in and help you with meal planning, looking around your kitchen, helping you read food labels, really like where the magic happens when it comes to your health. In your kitchen is such a huge place. And as you were alluding to earlier, my stance on health is 100% science-based. So I very much pride myself on always going with the evidence, always going with the science, and really scrutinizing the fads or maybe the different protocols that we get almost on a weekly basis, maybe daily basis when it comes to nutrition health. So I really want to be that resource for the community to help translate, okay, is there any truth to this? Could it work for you? What are the implications if you did try X, Y, and Z?
I love it. I think that's great. So cool. And it's, you know, it's so interesting. You were talking about the science and reading food labels, and it's fascinating to me. I think that's something that we all can use help with, because it's kind of, it seems like what the media says we should focus on and what is maybe what we really should be focused on in terms of what's right, good and right for our body is two different things, right?
It can be.
Yeah, for sure. Especially when you know how to look and read for fillers or artificial things, all of that type of stuff.
Absolutely. And Nicole, if I may, something to consider for your audience or anybody listening today is ultimately we should be choosing the majority of our food that actually doesn't have nutrition facts label, right?
Yeah.
Then we wouldn't necessarily need to worry about turning it over, looking at the ingredients, figuring out where what dietary protocol it falls with, but rather wanting to make sure the majority of your food is unpackaged or more perishable and fresh without that nutrition facts label.
Right. The apple that doesn't come stamped with the stuff like it does on your Lucky Charms cereal box, maybe.
Yes, absolutely. Or putting down that protein bar and just getting a handful of nuts, perhaps.
Right. Absolutely. And so you are a registered dietitian, which, you know, there's a lot of health coaches out there that have varying degrees of education. Doesn't mean they're not good at what they do, but you have taken the education portion of what you do to a much different level than a lot of people out there. Correct?
Absolutely. Yes, that's a great question and worthy to distinguish. So a registered dietitian is almost akin to a CPA versus an accountant. So any registered dietitian can say that they are a nutritionist. They've received schooling in nutrition science, but not all nutritionists can say they're a registered dietitian. Registered dietitians have to go through a year of supervised work where they are going between clinical work, food service work, and community nutrition work. And then after that, they take a board exam, which they have to renew with continuing education every 5 years. So as it is just that higher credentialed health practitioner that's recognized in the medical industry as exactly like you said, somebody that has those credentials that has been tested and continued to maintain her license.
That's great. How did you end up on this path? Like, how did nutrition and counseling end up being your passion?
It was a winding path, to be honest. So I've always been very passionate about learning about the body. There was something about learning about this vessel, like this world as in your body, that made me feel a lot better if I couldn't really figure out the world around me, as we might realize now. So I always loved that. And I was always a self-proclaimed athlete that liked to try out a lot of different modalities of athleticism. And with that then came hand in hand nutrition to help or not the physical conditioning aspect of those athletics. But guess what? I didn't make a career of that right away. I actually graduated with a degree in marketing and finance and went into the financial sector for a few years. But sure enough, my passion really got stronger and stronger. And I thought, okay, what if I did take that chance to go back to school, do it the right way, and see if I could really make a living preaching the word of what I'm really, really passionate about. So I quit my job and I moved across the country to go to Bastyr University on the east side, right outside of Seattle. And I got my master's in nutrition, and it was about 4 years of schooling in all to become a registered dietitian. I got that certification in 2016, worked for a local startup in Seattle, and then created my private practice about a year and a half ago. So a winding road for sure.
Sometimes those are the best ones. They're the richest. They have the best endings sometimes.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
And I definitely take things that I've learned in my previous career to marry it with what I have now. And I think that's worked out.
For sure. Well, I would imagine even just the practical application of, how do you take this knowledge and turn it into healthy living on a daily basis when maybe we're not in a COVID world and we're out running around and you've got different things going on and, you're not sitting at home cooking food all the time. So.
Yes, absolutely. I have a strong or a soft spot in my heart for corporate wellness and really wanting to help those full-time employees that sometimes are forced to put health on the back burner. So I really try to position to them and give them practical steps of interweaving wellness throughout their day so that it doesn't quite have to be deprioritized or put on the back burner.
I love it. Very cool. And you have some great articles out there, and I was reading some of your Instagram posts. We're talking this morning before the show about kind of some myth bustings, right? Things like, the whole metabolism revving foods that we're all convinced if we just eat more of this, right? Because really that's what I want personally. I just want to eat more and lose weight.
Everybody wants that. Yes. Like just eat more chili powder and coffee, and then you'll all of a sudden get to your desired weight. And that's just not quite the case. Surprise, surprise, just like many things that you actually have to do the work for when it comes to especially weight management, which is such that hot topic. It really is just all about self-experimentation, trial and error. So you're exactly right. I tend to write for MyFitnessPal, InStyle, and some of those articles that are really stating, okay, why are we avoiding carbohydrates again? And I'll be able to be that voice of, here are some things to consider, where we oftentimes hear things that work super well for one individual, but what about what works well for you? Right. So my position with that is listening to what individuals are experiencing, what is attracting them to a certain fad, and then presenting the science around it and maybe some experimentation for them to follow to really see if it makes the difference for them.
Well, and that's the truth, right? Nutrition, like so many things, it's not a one size fits all. So one person might get a great result with one thing, but that may or may not mean that you get the same result. So, and I love your approach. One of your Instagram posts that you had was something about what did you call it? Like the unfortunate truth or something. It's like before you start your next detox or, juice cleanse or fast or whatever it is. Cause I have to admit, I love a good fasting cleanse, whatever, right? Sounds great. And they are fun to do, but if you really want long-term effects, maybe if you just looked at some of your daily intake of things like fried foods, caffeine, alcohol, sugar, that may get you further long-term than not eating for a week.
Absolutely. Yes. I called it the unpopular truth.
There you go.
Exactly. Before you go to things that are very restrictive and take out multiple items, maybe you look at the amount of processed sugar, additional caffeine, alcohol, fried foods. Sometimes we like to close our ears when it comes to those daily little changes, but truly, if you inventory where there might be some areas to tighten up a bit, that's certainly more sustainable on the long term, but the harder work.
Yeah. Which is why it's helpful to have a coach.
Absolutely. Yes. Many times people utilizing me for that accountability. If I see people on a weekly or an every 2 week or maybe a monthly basis, it's really just that accountability to say, okay, yes, I'm staying near the wagon. Sometimes I'm off, but I get right back on.
Sure. So what are some of the ways that you work with clients? And if you're just tuning into today, we've got Liz Wysonick on the show with Equilibriyum. You're a registered dietitian and you coach people through this. You've got a lot of extensive training in nutrition and helping people revamp or maybe tweak. Maybe they don't need a full revamp, but tweak their diets to be healthier. So how do you do that? What does that look like with your clients?
Absolutely. So I right now do one-on-one nutrition counseling in person, but right now I'm fully remote. And for my services, I actually do take most major insurance companies, and my services are considered preventive. So a lot of times it's at no cost to the individual, or it's just there's a copay that might be attributed to it. But really what I like to say is that my help is a therapeutic relationship where you can really make of it what you need. It's not like you necessarily come in and I say, okay, you will be good after 10 sessions, or you will be good after 2 sessions. Rather, it's, okay, well, let's come in and talk about your history, talk about what's going on for you, talk about your goals or any symptoms that you're having, and then gradually kind of work through that in an approach and a pace that you are comfortable with. So I work from anywhere from athletes that, like you said, might just need some tweaking, or maybe they're trying to tighten up some of their training and conditioning fueling. And then I definitely work with people that are seeking to prevent disease. If somebody gets a scare at a doctor's office, maybe with a pre-hypertension diagnosis or high cholesterol or anything kind of scary that might happen at a doctor's office, that's the perfect time to visit a registered dietitian, because we can usually turn that train around before you need medication or a medical intervention of some sort. So definitely specialize in preventive health, sustainable weight loss or weight management, digestive disorders, and hormonal balances.
I love it. And you kind of mentioned it at the beginning right there, where you're talking about, the way you work with clients. Sometimes they just come in, it's a couple things, but a lot of times, I think anytime you are looking to make change, whether it's with your diet or anything else, there's often an unraveling. So a lot of times there's benefits to working with somebody over an extended period of time, because it's kind of like you need the initial shot of, okay, let's do these things. And then you get to either a stuck point or a backsliding part, like you talked about. So it's pretty normal to fall off the wagon, but if you can get back on faster, and that's really where having somebody keep you accountable and offer solutions, I think is super helpful.
Absolutely. And also just listen, provide that space to allow people to just tell me what their food and body frustrations are, what they have challenges with, and what they feel like it's rooted in. That's why it truly does become that therapeutic relationship where, yes, I've been with a client now for almost 3 years. So it's really, I've seen how that life has changed and how they have learned and persevered through all of those changes. And you're exactly right. It's such an unraveling. People will come thinking that they need to try this thing or avoid that thing. And 3 sessions later, we're at a completely different area because just all of that unpacking.
Yeah, as with most things in life, there's more to it, right? It's more than if you could just get me to not eat grains, everything would be, or whatever, right? That seems to be a big thing right now. We're not supposed to eat grains or something.
Right, exactly. Well, and that's the fact of the matter too, is that people are just looking for that solution. Maybe they're looking to feel better, or they're just looking to see some sort of progress in some way, or a lot of times they're looking to feel like they're in control of some aspect of their health. So that's a huge part of it.
For sure. And, you know, with most of us, or I don't know, most of us, but for me, it's like, well, I'll give up this, but then I want that.
Yes, that's how the brain works. You say it can't have something, it puts more pressure than on those other items. Exactly. Yeah, so you will notice visiting my website, I never talk about a specific dietary protocol or dogma, but it's rather just like you said, one size does not fit all. There are maybe some general guidelines that I will always bring to the table for as a means of education, but more so it's just unraveling, trying different things, and tracking your progress along the way.
For sure. Well, and you mentioned your website, which is equilibriyum.com, and you have some fantastic resources on there. If you're feeling like you just want to be more educated on this topic and you really value kind of more of the science behind it and the whole why behind things, you've got a phenomenal blog on there with all kinds of great information. I was reading some of your blog posts and they're detailed. It's way more than, you know, give up grains, eat more veggies, or, you know, whatever, try this green juice recipe. You have some very detailed information for free on your blog. If you're out there and this is interesting to you, but you feel like you need more background on stuff. And then you have some phenomenal meal plans on there as well that people can purchase, but for a really low, I thought, you know, $29 is super low dollar amount. And I think that's so great because I think for a lot of reasons. One, even though things are opening up, the reality is we're all cooking more at home and we're kind of through our recipes. Everybody's been there, done that on whatever our go-to recipes are. So to have some new ideas, and also when you're looking to make changes, I think that's one of the hardest things. It's, you know, well, what do I do now? I remember, so I'm vegetarian, and years ago, I grew up eating meat. I'm vegetarian, and this is like 20 years ago, but I went to visit my grandma, who is a hardcore meat eater. And she went to make spaghetti sauce with beef in it. She always puts ground meat in it. And I was like, well, Grandma, that's great. That's totally fine. But I'll just eat without the sauce because I don't eat meat. And she was like, well, but it's not sauce without the meat. It's not healthy. Like she just, it was pretty cute.
Yep. Yes.
I think that perfectly illustrates we all get there, or a version of that sometimes when we're trying to make a change, but we've done it one way for so long. It's like, I know I'm supposed to do something different, or that there's a different option, but I'll be darned, I can't find it for the life of me.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Changing habits or ingrained thoughts about food is very tough. So that's exactly what the meal plans are there for, to encourage people to look at balanced eating in a fun and approachable way. So you're exactly right. If you want to try out the meal plans before sitting one-on-one to really talk about your eating style, they're really published out there to help the general population, where it is going to be the majority of whole food, plant-based foods with some high quality meats in there, but very much with the emphasis of this doesn't have to be rocket science. It's going to be approachable. It might even be delicious and completely manageable. So exactly. Thank you for saying that. That is the goal behind the content that I put on my website.
That's great. So if you're out there and you're wondering, like I said, even if you're just out of recipes, you need something new. I highly encourage people to check it out. They can go to your website, equilibriyum.com. We'll obviously have links on our website, NicoleMangina.com/podcast for all of this after the show. And you have a great free 15-minute consult if people just want to call you, and because like you said, it's all about approach, right? No one size diet fits all, and no, you know, it's kind of like therapy when you do this stuff. So you've got to be in sync with your person. And so I think it's great that you offer, a free initial consultation and just see, like, is this the right fit? Is this the right path to go down and the right time to do it?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I say that that's their opportunity to interview me and to just get a sense for if I would be a good fit to them. I feel very honored when somebody would trust me with their food and health journey. So exactly, I say you can test me out or try it before we really get into a relationship.
I think that's great.
Mhm.
For sure. Any other health tips or misconceptions that kind of seem to come up a lot, or are big things for you when you're with your clients?
Well, let's see. So much, right? And just to speak briefly on that grain free. So that's a big fad right now. I have personally been very hesitant for why carbohydrates are under the scrutiny, why we always want to take them out of eating. So we have been subsisting off grains for a very, very long time. Maybe the crop has slightly changed. But again, if you go back to those whole grains as they were intended by nature, you cook them, you rinse them. It's really just a matter of checking in with yourself. Do you get a higher sense of satiety if you have some grains in your meals? If your stir fry is complete with brown rice, do you actually feel a bit more calm and sated after that meal?
Yeah.
If your morning scramble is complete with a really high quality slice of bread and it's able to carry you until lunch, then is that worth it in the long run? So yeah, this is again where we kind of toe that line of blanket recommendations where we're avoiding a whole food group can actually promote unintended consequences. So I would just encourage everybody to explore it on their own, always looking at the most whole grain that you can, or the most whole food that you can. And then all I could say that's kind of fit for summer is enjoy that summer fruit out there. It's such a fantastic way to get some fast energy when you're spending more time outside. I've been excited to see the melons that are coming into season and the stone fruit. Just a fun tip, if you pair fruit with protein, like some Greek yogurt, maybe some nuts, hummus, it's gonna stick with you longer. If you've ever experienced having an apple and then you're hungry 30 minutes later, that's just because it's mostly carbohydrate and it's mostly fiber, so it runs through your system really quickly. So just pair that with some protein and you'll stay satisfied longer.
Oh, good tip. All right. Thank you so much for joining us today. I so appreciate it. I love your approach to health and nutrition, and I think it's something that everybody can benefit from. Those little tweaks in your diet can make a huge difference. So again, we've had Liz Wysonick with Equilibriyum. Say that 10 times fast.
Yes.
On the show today, we'll have links to everything. You've got your meal plans, your amazing informational blog, and links for how to work with you. We'll have all of that on our website after the show. You can go to NicoleMangina.com/podcast. So thanks so much for joining us today. It was really a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you, Nicole. It really was. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care, everybody. It is 4th of July weekend. It'll be one for the record books because I don't know if there's any fireworks or parades, but it'll be a great time to just relax and hang out and get out in nature. So take care and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Cool, ladies. All clear.
Yay.
Okay.